When was the last time that you found yourself in a situation with somebody where you disagreed with their point of view? And in disagreeing with their point of view is you either challenged it and found yourself in an argument, or worse than that, you didn't challenge it, you didn't bring anything up, you just politely or casually moved on, yet still frustratedly live with the fact that you didn't get to be able to converse around the thing that you disagreed on. The trouble with disagreements is if they're not dealt with professionally, they can often result in arguments. And arguments end up with winners and losers, which means if you're the winner, the other person feels like a loser. And that probably wasn't the outcome that you were looking to create. What we're far better to be able to do is to find ways to converse with others who don't share the same opinion as you do, and see if what we can do is find some form of new normal together through being able to collaborate and through being able to converse on this. And something that I figured might make this crystal clear from the kickoff is tell me what you see here right now. Tell me what you see. And my guess is what you see is you see a black journal. Here's what I see, is I see a black pen. Who's right? The true answer to that question is both of us. Yeah, what could happen is forever and a day, I could say, could you see this pen? And you're like, there's no pen there, you idiot, Phil. That's not a pen, it's a notebook. I'm saying, yeah, absolutely. It's a black pen with a silver top on it. It says exactly what to say on the side. You're like, are you for real? You cray-cray. See, it isn't until I shift perspective that you can see things from a new point of view that you can go on to be able to decide that you see the same things that I see. You cannot change anybody else's mind on anything. All you can do is shift the perspective that they're looking at that thing from to allow them to be able to go on and change their own mind. So when you disagree with somebody, when you don't share the same perspective as somebody, learn the skills to be able to step into a conversation and find out how you can both start to shift perspective. You're like, this sounds cute, Phil, but how do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do it? Well, we do it with words. Some of you may have read this tiny little book, Exactly What to Say. It's 23 sequences of words in a completely random order. Often people see them being utilized one at a time. They don't understand which words to use in the right way. What many of you maybe haven't seen is our workbook edition. It lives inside our workshops. It lives inside our masterclasses. It's what we work with corporate clients on. It's how our certified guides go about certifying and teaching others around the real curriculum of Exactly What to Say. And perhaps one of the most powerful sections in the workbook is a whole catalogue of what we call perspective changes. And perspective changes are particularly useful when you find yourself in a conversation with somebody you disagree with. I'm going to share with you 9 prefaces to questions. That means that you're not going to get into arguments anymore. You're merely going to be able to converse with people that don't share the same opinions or perspective that you do. One of the easiest things to do when you find yourself in a situation with a conversation with somebody you don't agree with is not to challenge their opinion, but be curious about their opinion. You might preface a question with the words, what do you understand? See, what do you understand about what's really going on in ABAC area? What do you understand about my experience and how I might see things from a different point of view? What do you understand about the impact that that could have on other people's lives? What do you understand about the challenges that thinking that could cause in ABC area? What do you understand about how other people are responding to this? So you don't have to challenge somebody's point of view. You merely have to challenge the foundation of what it is that they are building that point of view on. Behind a what do you understand question, you can add more specificity to it by asking somebody a what is your experience question. So when somebody disagrees with you, let's say it's even something controversial, like it's politics. It could be as simple as what is your experience of living in an environment like that and experiencing challenges like that. And often what somebody will realize is they don't have relevant experience to be able to have a full 360 picture on what their current opinion is. You can pair these two together, right? You could ask a what do you understand question and then a what is your experience question. Let's say that you are having a challenging, difficult conversation with somebody in your world about something you'd like to be different for your parents, say for example, is, what do you understand about the potential impact of blank, blank, and blank? Hadn't thought about that. Well, what is your experience of what it would take to be able to move somebody from there to there? Don't have enough experience. What we're looking to be able to do is to move people away from being locked in their current point of view to start to move them and shift their perspective a little so we can create new normal together. That's what happens when you're in a disagreement, when you're looking to create a resolve. You're not looking for a win-lose, you're looking for a win-win, which means we both have to paint a new picture together. What do you understand, followed by what is your experience, is a slow play to be able to get there. I said there are 9 prefaces, so we'll keep building these together in order from the workbook. If the goal is to create doubt, what you question is you question certainty. Using the preface, how certain are you? Like, how certain are you that that is definitely going to achieve blank, blank, and blank? Ooh, we're creating more movement. If you're looking to change behavior, we have to stop talking in black and white and start creating shades of grey. And then what we can do is we can use those 50 shades of grey together into painting a picture of a new normal. What do you understand about? What is your experience? How certain are you? You see how what's now happening is you can enter into quite heated discussions with people who have differences of opinion than you are and start to be able to learn their perspective whilst also helping shift their perspective, whilst also being able to share your own perspective. We can keep going on this, giving approximately 0 advice, having approximately 0 argument. Because what we can then do is take a photograph in the mind that contextualizes the conversation further. Easiest way to take a photograph in the mind of somebody else is to ask the when was the last time question. Let's say you had a disagreement with someone about where you wanted to be able to go out for dinner this weekend. Let's say it's just as simple as that. And you've got a disagreement. You really want to go for Chinese food. They are desperate to be able to go for Italian food. You haven't had Chinese food in forever. You'd like to get your own way on this point in time, but you're so used to getting steamrolled. You say, well, what do you understand about how it makes me feel knowing that I rarely get to be able to go to the restaurants that I would choose? Well, what is your experience of not getting listened to when you make recommendations? How certain are you definitely don't want Chinese food? I mean, when was the last time that you actually went to a Chinese restaurant? See, when they say they haven't been for a long time, etc., we're building evidence and we're building case towards our point of view and we're shifting theirs one step at a time. What do you understand about? What is your experience? How certain are you? When was the last time? Now that we've got photographs, where do we go next to shift perspective? Well, what we're now looking to be able to do, we're looking to find out if the thing that they are fueled for is actually something that's important in their life. What you therefore ask is you ask a how important is it question. You know, how important is it to you that we go somewhere that I feel makes me feel special? They're likely to say that's important. How important is it to you that you get a meal under $100? You can deliver a number of how important is it questions and find out where they're really coming from. I know I said that this is going to help you in disagreements. Where are there other disagreements that happen in your life? Let's say it's in the workplace. Let's say that what's happening is that you've got a riff with a coworker that is a giant disagreement about how you should move forward with a project. Well, what might you say? You might say, well, what do you understand about alternative options of us being able to achieve X with Y? They say, not much. You say, what is your experience of running projects at this kind of level? They say, not much. You say, how certain are you that what you're looking to achieve is blank, blank, and blank? They say, I'm remarkably certain. You say, well, when was the last time that you ran something of this nature? They say, I've never done it. You say, how often do you run projects of this nature? They say, well, we haven't in the past. You say, for how long have you been wanting to excel at a project like this? They say, forever. You say, well, how important is it to you that we achieve this outcome in this period of time? They say, it's remarkably important. You see what we're doing? We're creating a position of alignment just by stacking questions one on top of the other. You can keep stacking questions and then start to be a touch more suggestive. When you're in a disagreement and you're looking for somebody to latch on to your new idea, instead of inviting them directly to latch onto the idea, preface the ask by putting it into something that's very difficult for them to say no to. The easiest way to preface an idea and make it almost impossible for somebody to say no to is to preface it with the words, could it be possible? Could it be possible that us executing this project in this way might actually achieve those outcomes quicker and better? Yeah, I guess it could be. Let's take it all the way back to disagreement about a political point of view is, well, what do you understand about why people are giving consideration to voting here as opposed to here? Not much. What is your experience of being in a situation like blank, blank, and blank? Not much. How certain are you that what you want to achieve is blank, blank, and blank? Not much. See how we're building this up one step at a time. And you're starting to be able to create evidence and case. And this can go right up to this scenario is, could it be possible that if you were living in that news feed that you'd have a different perspective too? Could it be possible that if you were in that set of circumstances that you would maybe favor X over Y? What we're doing is we're extracting ourselves from the conversation. We're getting higher than it. This isn't about my right versus your right. This is avoiding an argument and instead taking an elevated and elongated perspective so we can go on and change our minds together. After we've been suggestive with a could it be possible statement, what we have to anchor it with is some emotion. The easiest way to anchor a situation with some emotion is to use what's called a future conditional question, which is, how would you feel if? And when you use words like how would you feel if, what you're doing is you're inviting somebody to give consideration to an emotional force inside of them before it's happened. They get to feel a microdose of that feeling and then use that microdose of that feeling to anchor a decision that you're currently asking them to make. What might that look like? Well, let's stay on this. I believe one thing, you believe another in terms of the direction or future of our country. Well, that could be, well, how would you feel if X, Y, and Z happened to you? How would you feel if A, B, and C would be an outcome for somebody you really cared about? How would you feel if this was somebody that you were looking to be able to collaborate with? You see, what we can do is we can create hypothetical scenarios that people can imagine themselves in, and those can anchor their new beliefs attached to new feelings. And after anchoring something in emotion, we might want to catapult it with some form of forward motion. How do you catapult something with forward motion? Well, we ask them to picture something in the future. How do you preface or open up the Instagram viewer inside somebody's mind to get them to be able to picture a new reality? Well, you just use the magic words, just imagine. Just imagine 12 months on from now, and XYZ is happening. And what do we do with our just imagine pictures? We give them a good news picture of something to run towards. We give them a bad news picture of something they want to run away from. And we give them a feel-good picture of something we know that matters to them, and only them. So let's think about a scenario of disagreement and then look to see if we can put all these words through that exact same sequence, that exact same catalog. Darby's here in studio with me today on production. Darby, give me any random scenario that could be a disagreement that happens in life, and let's see if what we can do is put these words to test.
Disagreeing on what you have for dinner.
Okay, so we're going to take the most complex, difficult conversation that exists in the entire world, the hardest question to answer, which is a what do you want for dinner question, and with a big disagreement about what's for dinner. And let's just say this disagreement is one of you wants to eat out and the other one wants to stay in. Let's just say it's that, and you're the one that wants to go out and the other person is the one that wants to stay in. What you might ask is you might say, well, what do you understand about what's actually in the fridge tonight that we have the ability to be able to cook from? What is your experience of what it's like on a Tuesday night out here locally? Haven't been out on a Tuesday for much recently. Is how certain are you that you definitely want to cook all of the meal and then clean it up, etc. yourself tonight? Well, I'm not so certain I want to. I mean, when was the last time that we actually had a date night? How important is it to you that we get to spend meaningful time together away from the home? Could it be possible that us going out tonight would be more than just a meal and would actually be a chance for us to be able to get caught up on so much more about life, the universe, and everything? I mean, how would you feel if you knew that I really, really, really wanted to go out and it would make me happy if you would look to join me? And how would you feel if when we're walking home that you realized that you had a great night? And how would you feel if we could make this somewhat of a regular occurrence? And just imagine how delicious dinner's going to be. And just imagine how much better it's going to be that we don't have any washing up. And just imagine, what it might spark in terms of curiosity about how we can make better plans for the next weeks and months for all of our days when we've got the time to really sit down and chat. So I hope what you're seeing is in any disagreement, these are tools and words that you can put to work to be more playful in helping somebody shift their perspective. And then the way that you anchor it, the way that you actually get to a point of new normal, is you borrow an existing pathway that exists in most people's minds. See, as children, we had a lot of conditional statements that were made towards us. If you don't eat all your dinner, then you're going to get no dessert. If you're not back by 8 p.m., then you're going to be grounded. If you don't do your homework, then you're not going to get good grades. If you don't get good grades, then you're not going to get into a good school. If you don't get into a good school, then you're not going to get a good job. If you don't get a good job, then you're not going to live a great life. And we start to believe these if-then statements. These create pathways in our brain. Borrow the same pathways to be able to create a point of conclusion when you disagree with somebody by simply delivering an if-then statement. So when this is the where are we going for dinner type setup from a disagreement point of view is, look, if you're in the business of looking to make me happy, then we should probably go out for dinner. Right? You see how you can create if-then statements. So what I'm hopeful that you can do as a result of this conversation that we're having here today is to step into disagreeable moments with a few more tools. Step into disagreeable moments with the ability to slowly shift other people's perspective. And how do you shift people's perspective? Well, you ask a what is your experience question, or what do you understand question, a how certain are you question. After you've asked a what is your experience, what do you understand, how certain are you question, you take a photograph with a when was the last time question. Once you've taken a photograph with a when was the last time, then you scale the importance by asking how important is it for them to achieve something that you know that matters to both of you. You then suggest a new reality with a could it be possible, knowing that it's almost impossible to say no to a could it be possible preface. We then anchor it in emotion with a how would you feel if, and we give them a good thing, a bad thing, and a selfish thing. We then paint a picture in the future with a just imagine statement. We give a good thing, a bad thing, a feel good thing, and then we create a point of new normal by concluding with an if then. I know that's a lot of information. And I also know that practice makes permanent. So next time you find yourself in a disagreement, remember that slow is smooth, smooth is fast. If you slow the process down, you speed the outcome up. Remember, arguments end with losers, so don't get into an argument. Instead, get curious, ask more questions, look to shift the other person's perspective, and see if you can paint a new normal together where both of you have created a new reality that gives you more of an agreeable outcome with forward-facing movement and direction. Hope that was helpful. If that was helpful, leave what was helpful in the comments. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.